And that's what you did at the front of the altar if you got married, in that way. You said, I choose to trust you. Here's my life, I'll take yours, and we're going to choose to submit to each other, to put each other first for the rest of our lives. You choose to trust them. They bring up Abraham and Sarah here. Abraham's out just hanging out. God comes to him and says, Abraham, I got plans. I got plans for you. He says, I'm going to make your descendants like the number of sands on the shore, and you're going to be great, and people are going to find me through you, and blah, blah, blah. All I need you to do is move. Abraham's like, great. He goes home. Sarah's making lunch. She's chopping up carrots for the salad. He says, Sarah, I had this great time with God today. Sarah's like, awesome, honey, that's great. Chop, chop, chop. He says, Sarah, he wants to do great things for you and our family. Oh, awesome, honey. I wish he'd send me a baby. But anyway, can you give me some And he's saying, yeah, but listen, here's the one deal. All we have to do is we have to move. No more chopping. Well, babe, we got everything set up here. The tents are here. We got our flocks, the rivers. I mean, how far are we talking here? Oh, I'm not really sure. He hasn't told me yet. He just wants us to pack up and start moving. And somewhere in Sarah's fear, remember I had you underline that part, to put away the fear? Because here's what, ladies, you have. You have this need for security, and when your husband says things that makes you go, your fears start kicking in. And that's where you start withholding yourself, and you start putting yourself ahead of him. Well, I need security, so I'm going to make my choices over your choices. But what God says is, no, trust him. Trust him. Follow him. Be willing to go where he leads as God directs him. Coming here to Bay Life, we had the opportunity to go through all of the candidating process 4 years ago, and then it came down for you guys to vote. And there was a mandate in the church bylaws that said at least 80% of the people had to vote the pastor in. Well, I thought that was kind of lousy odds if you had 20% of the people who hated you, coming into a church. So I thought, as I talked to God, that we should raise the percentage. I was sitting back in what is my office now talking to my wife about this, and the church at that time was in the process of actually voting on whether or not to bring us into this role. And I turned to Eleanor and I said, if the number isn't 95% or above, we're not coming. And she corrected me last night. I was preaching at the Saturday night service, and she said, because I made her sound really great, but she said, she turned to me and she said, so you're saying if it's 94%, we're not coming? I was like, yeah. And she had gone through all of this, transitioning and getting ready to move and, leaving in her mind our place where we lived in Dallas and all this stuff. And now she was faced with this, extra 14% that we had to get over. And I think in her heart she was like, are you kidding me? I just went through this whole thing, and now you're telling me we got this last hoop to jump through? I think that's what she was kind of thinking. But in the time that it took her to think that, she got right back to the whole, I trust you. And she looked at me and she said, okay. So Randy Buchholz came back, and he and everybody else came back, and they said, you're in. And I was like, what was the vote? He's like, I just told you, you're in. I said, no, I need to know the ratio. What was it? And the 7 people who didn't vote for me, I hunted them down. And but it worked out to be above the 95%, and here we are. Now, in that moment, though, that's what we're talking about, ladies. Trust. Just be willing to trust. We're going to finish up just listening to my beautiful wife talk to you more on the practical side of this. So, Eleanor, would you come and join us? Thanks.
Thank you. In our family, we have a family motto, and it started out when our kids were 1, 2, and 3. And it's because our boys are so close. Well, all our kids are really close in age, but especially our boys. And I found myself saying a lot, don't fight, don't fight. Ben, don't hit. Cooper, don't hit. Don't fight. So finally I thought, I've got to be more positive. This is just driving me crazy. So I came up with the opposite of that, of don't fight, and we came up with love and respect. Love and protect, sorry. Love and protect. So instead of don't fight, I would always say, boys, love and protect. You're brothers. That's what brothers do. They love and protect. And so as I was preparing today to share with us wives, I thought, man, as wives, we need to have a motto. And our motto needs to be respect and protect. It still to this day, at 14 and 12 years old, if our boys are fighting or getting a little too rough with each other, I'll be like, hey, what's your last name? Saunders. Right, what do Saunders do? They love and protect. Hey, when you slapped Ben too hard on the trampoline, was that loving or protecting? No. Okay, remember who you are. So wives, for me and for you, I just want to remind us this morning what we're about. And I think our motto really should be respect and protect. So that when you go to Bible study on Tuesday morning or Wednesday night, and then you go to Applebee's afterwards with the girls, and somebody's there who's really disgruntled in their marriage and rips her husband up one side and down the other, and you're tempted to be like, well, you think that's bad, you should listen to this. I need you to remember this motto. No, don't forget who you are. As a wife, your responsibility is to respect and protect. So very briefly, 4 ways we can do that. First and foremost, we need to respect and protect our husbands publicly. Some of the best advice I ever got from my mother right when I was getting married was she said, Eleanor, here's the deal. Never, ever cut Mark down in public. I don't ever want to hear it. I don't ever want to hear you doing that. You respect him in public. You always speak highly of him in front of other people. What great advice. Also, this is a really good thing to think about. If I'm out in public all the time telling you how horrible my husband is, what does that say about me? Hi, I was so stupid that I had to pick a jerk to marry. It makes us look bad too. So wives, respect him in public. Also, number 2, respect him privately. Respect him privately. You know, it's one thing for our kids to see us highly esteeming each other in public, but you know where the rubber hits the road is in our home. Mark and I have 3 people that are always an audience, and that's our children. And they're going to learn, our boys are going to learn how to treat their future wives by watching their daddy. And my daughter's going to know how to treat her future husband by watching me. And we take that really seriously. And I don't think we can discount that as wives. So even if you're married to an impossible man, and you have regretted for years that you walked down the aisle in the first place, there's got to be something in front of your children and in private that you can praise him and respect him for. Kids, look at this house. Isn't it amazing? This house, did you ever think we'd live in a place like this? Look at what Dad has provided by working for us. Or look at our dad. I want you to look at Dad. Man, you know what? He is going back to school at night. It takes a really brave man to switch something like that at his age and try something new. Isn't that amazing your dad's trying something new? Or wow, look at your dad working out. Isn't it so cool how he's taking care of his body? Isn't it so cool? Do you see how strong your dad's getting? That kind of stuff. So respect him privately. There's always something you can say that's good. You know, Proverbs 14 says, and I want to read it to you because I don't want to mess up the verse because it's such a great verse. It says, the wise woman builds her house, but with her own hands, the foolish one tears hers down. And ladies, the truth of the matter is, if we are constantly riding them, if we are constantly emasculating them in front of our children, if we are constantly letting them know that they do not do enough and they are not enough, we are literally tearing our houses down with our own hands. May it never be said of you. Have you ever met a woman who is constantly keeping score, who is always trying to one-up her man, who has nothing good to say, and is also happily married? No? Okay, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. So, on the sidebar, though, I want to say this. Between the years, our 5th, 6th, and 7th years of marriage, when Mark and I were married, it was pretty rough. It was hard. We had 3 babies in less than 3 years. He was working full-time, doing youth ministry, which means your hours are crazy. He went back to seminary to get his master's. We had no money to buy a vacuum cleaner. Our vacuum cleaner broke down. We didn't even have $50 to go to Walmart to buy a vacuum cleaner. So I started waitressing at night. It was a nightmare. Plus, on Saturdays, because he needed time to rejuvenate, he'd go golfing for 4 hours. Okay? One happy time in our marriage.